Hello guys, this is Supriya and I'm back again with another video on Core Java series, and today we will be learning about a static keyword in Core Java. Okay, so let's start. Now static is a non-access modifier. It's one of the keyword in Java. Keywords are the reserved words in Java library, and static is also the keyword in Java. Oh, it got closed. Let me just open that again. Okay, so static is one of the keyword in Java. It's a non-access modifier. We have seen access modifiers as public, protected, private, okay, then default, and talking about non-access modifiers, we have static, final, transient, volatile, synchronized, and abstract is also a non-access modifier. So today we will learn about static as a non-access modifier. At the end of this video, you will understand why we call static as a non-access modifier. Okay, so it's a keyword, it's a reserved word in Java library. So let me just write a small piece of Java program to make you understand. So inside this Java basics package, I'm going to create a class, and this time my class would be, say, final or exam data. Okay, and I'll select the I'll select the main method, and by default my access modifier is public. So for this class, my access modifier is public. We have already learned what are access modifiers. If you still want to understand it better, then please go back and watch my video on access modifier. Okay, so we have this main method, and let me just declare and initialize few variables. Okay, so just see here carefully that I am declaring the variables outside this main method but inside this class exam data. So these variables are also called as the class variables. Okay, or they are also called as the instance variable, or they are called as the global variables. Okay, so we will learn about global variables or instance variable in future videos because it's a big topic, so I'll cover that in the future video. However, for now, just understand this, that any variable which is declared or initialized inside the class and outside the method is called as the class variables. It has another name as instance variable and global variables as well. So let's call them as class variables. Let's keep it simple, okay? And let me just declare few class variables or instance variables. Okay, so let's say I'm declaring an integer type variable, say int roll number equals 10. Okay, this is my integer variable. This is the class variable. Okay, and let me say string student name equals Supriya. Okay, and I have to enter semicolon here. After each statement you need to enter the semicolon. Okay, and let me say I have another instance variable or class variable as which is of the string type, and let's say this is say subject Okay, let's say this is subject, and I'll just call this subject as English, semicolon. Okay, so I have three class variables: roll number, student name, and subject. And since I have the student name and subject are of string type, I'll give the value inside the double quotes. Okay, and I would need to write a semicolon at the end. Okay, these are few basic things that you need to always remember while writing a Java program. Okay, now this is my main method, and I will just keep it empty. Okay, because when I'll be executing the code, when I'll be calling these variables and methods, that time I'll enter the code here. But for now, let me just keep this empty. It starts from here and it ends here. Okay, so after that, now also my class starts from here and ends here. Okay, so this area from here to here belongs to class exam data. Okay, now, and these variables are all class variables because they are declared inside the class but outside the method, which is a main method. There can be other method as well, the user-defined method as well. Okay, so let me just have a user-defined method. User-defined means any method or any class that is declared by the user. So I'm going to create that method, or I'm going to declare that method. So it will be called as the user-defined method. Okay, so you need to just understand these terms, these technical terms, so that in future when I'll be using these technical terms, you should be able to understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let me have one method as, so how to write a method? I'll use the access modifier. If you don't want to use, then it will be a default one. Okay, so public, and let's say I'll say int. This is my return type. Okay, and let's say marks. Okay, and I'll have parenthesis. Here I'll write the block of code. Okay, and why it is giving me error? The last time we learned, because of the return type, I need to add, since my return type is int, I need to add a return keyword here. Okay, so let me just write the simple code, return 80. So my marks in English is 80. Okay, so I've just written the simplest code. We can have the block of code, a series of code inside this method. Okay, that we will learn in future, so don't worry about that. But I'm just writing the simplest code for now so that it is easier for you to understand. Okay, so this is my method marks, and which is returning 80, and int type or integer type value. Okay, and let me have one void method. Void means this is a return type which is not going to return any value. Okay, so let me say my method name is display result, parenthesis, curly braces, and I'll write the method body or the block of code. I'll write one println statement, system.out.println, which will print the whatever I write here inside this println statement will be printed on the console. So this is the reason why we write this. I've told you so many times. So let me just say pass is the result. Okay, so now I'm ready with my code. Okay, so I have two methods, marks and disp result. Both belongs to class exam data. I have three variables, class variables, and both belongs to, all of three variables belongs to class exam data. Okay, now if I want to access these variables or these methods, marks and disp result, how would I do that? I've told you that in order to access them, we would need to create the object of this class, okay, of this exam data class, and using the object reference variable or instance of that object, we will access them. So let's do that. I'll create the object of this class. How to create the object? And we need to create the object of the class inside the main method. So now I'll start using my main method, because JVM will enter this main method to execute our program. Okay, so let's create the object of the class exam data. So we will write the class name exam data, and let's say the object is student 1. Okay, this is my object reference variable or instance variable, and I'm creating the object. The moment you write new keyword and the class name again with the parenthesis, this line of code creates the object, and this object of exam data is referred by this reference variable. So using this reference variable, I'll access the variables and the methods that are there. Okay, so we have already learned this, okay, in class and objects part 2. If you want, you can just check those videos again. Okay, so let's access them. So student 1 is my reference variable, and see, I'm getting the options of class variables and methods. So let me just call this method, roll number, and let me just put that inside the system.out.println. Okay, you cannot directly call them. You have to, if you want to print them on your console window here, you need to write system.out.println statement. Okay, and let me just call any of these methods. Let me just call this method marks. Okay, so again I'll write system.out.println, and I'll write, now I would need to write the reference variable. So my reference variable is student 1 dot marks. Okay, oh, this is a method, so there should be parentheses. Okay, so let me just run them. So I can call this variable as well, and this method as well, this method. Okay, so let me just call them. So see, for it's printing the roll number as 10. Okay, and it's printing the it's calling the method marks, and it is printing the value 80 on the console. Now this happens when you are not providing any static keyword here. So these are all non-static variables and methods. The moment you give a static keyword, say I put static here. Okay, let's not put static here. The moment I write static here, okay, Now it will start showing me error here. Okay, no, it's a warning, it's not the error, so sorry about that. So you can still access these variables by using the reference variable, but the moment you get static keyword here, you can just write access the variables, the class variables, without using the object. Okay, same is applicable for method. So let me just put static here. Okay, and if I don't put the reference variable of the object here, you can still call this method marks. So let me just call this method and access the variable roll number. See, it's printing 10 and 80. Okay, this is one way, okay, of accessing the class variables or the class methods. Okay, if you put the static keyword before them. But there is another way of accessing them, and that is using the class name. Okay, so through class name dot the variable name also, or the method name also, you can access them. So I'm just using the class name and putting dot here, and see, it's giving the option for you to select. So you'll just select them and you can still access them. Okay, so this is the only difference. So see, it will again print 10 and 80. And now since I'm using static keyword here, I can either use directly, just print roll number and the method name marks here, because this method is also static, so you can directly write it or call the method, it will print the value. Also, if you can use the class name, and through the class name you can also access the variables or the class methods. Okay, now why do we need to use the static keyword? Okay, before that, let me tell you that these variables are non-static variables because I have not used the static keyword here. So I have not used the static keyword here. So this string variable student name is a non-static variable, and this subject is also a non-static variable, class variable. This roll number is a static variable because I have used the word static here. Similarly, this method marks is a static method, and this result is a non-static method because I have not used the non-static keyword here. So if you are not putting static keyword before the method or the variable, you will have to use the object reference to access them. So to access non-static variables, class variables or instance variable, and to access non-static methods like this method, you would need to use the reference variable of the object. And if you are putting static keyword, then it becomes the static variable and the static method. So static variable or the static method should be, these members can be accessed directly, either directly or by using the class name. Okay, now why is there a need to use static variable keyword? Okay, that's because, can you see here, I have 3 variables. So if in any case I have some list of variables, and there is a variable which is commonly used. Now this variable, if you see roll number, This will keep on changing, okay, for a student. So for this Supriya, this student, the roll number is 10, but there may be another student, say Manish, so the roll number will be 11, and so on and so forth. So from student to student, the roll number will be changed and the name also will be changed, but the subject for all the students will remain the same. Okay, so if you are not entering the static keyword, what will happen is, if these are the non-static variables, then you would need to call them using the reference variable. That means you will, for each student, you will need to create the object. So for student Supriya, you will create the object as student 1. For student Manish, you will create the object, you will create the second object as student 2. Okay, let me just create the second object. Okay. Okay, and for third student, say for James, you will have to create the third object and it will have the third reference variable. So here what you see, that only the student name and the roll number are changing. Okay, they are not constant, but the subject is constant. So if any value that you find it to be constant, okay, then you can declare that as static. Okay, by doing so, you will be saving lot of memory, Java memory. How? Because each time you create the reference variable or the object, a new memory will be allocated. Okay, and each of these objects will be saving all the variables and the class methods. Okay, and if anything that is very common, like a subject here is common, okay, so that you can declare as the static variable, or the same is applicable to the methods as well. Okay, so now let me tell you how what happens in Java memory when we declare a non-static variable or a static variable. Okay, so when we declare a static variable, there is a separate memory in Java which is called as the class area or the method area, allocated to those variables or those methods defined as static. Okay, so let's say this is my huge Java memory. Okay, and for the static variables and static methods, there will be a separate memory allocated to those static variables or methods. Okay, and this memory is called as the class area or method area. Okay, however, if for non-static variables, you will have to access them using the object reference variable of the object. So you will have to first create the object to access the non-static variables. So say if I want to create 3 objects, say 1, 2, 3 for 3 different students. So these are 3 objects. I'll have the roll number and the name different, okay, for all three of them. Okay, so here the roll number will be 10, here 11, here 12, and here the name would be, say, Supriya, Manish and James, and here the subject name will be English, here also English, and here also English. Okay, So here I'm using extra memory. The English subject is common for all three objects. Okay, so in this case we will try to save the memory. What we will do, we'll call them as non-static variables, okay, which are common to all three objects, and we will save it inside the separate memory in Java, which is class area or the method area. Okay, and all of these three objects are referred by the reference variable, different reference variable. Okay, so as we have seen here, this is a reference variable student 1, student 2, and there can be, say, 1000 students in a class. So you'll have to create thousands of reference variable referring to their own object. Okay, so I'll just go back to that diagram. So here thousands of objects will be created, which will be referenced by their corresponding reference variable, and all these thousands of objects will be sharing the common variable, which is English subject. Okay, so here my memory is wasted. So what we will do, we will declare this variable strings subject as static. The moment we write static, here the separate memory will be allocated in Java, and this will be shared by all these objects. All the 1000 objects will be sharing this. So I'm saving a lot of memory. I just spoke about 1000 students. There can be lakhs of students. Okay, and same applies to the method. Okay, so if I want to list down all the students who passed the exam, I would need to just call this method. I mean, each time I'll have to use the different object for calling this method for all those who passed. So say 1000 of students have passed the exam, so I'll have to create thousands of objects, and thousands of reference variable will be there corresponding to them to call this method. Okay, but it will be displaying the same result for all the 1000 students. So why don't I do one thing? Let me just put static variable here, and the moment I write public static void, what will happen here is this result will be put into this separate method area memory, a separate memory which is called as the non-heap memory. We will learn about the heap and stack memory in the future videos, but for now just understand that there is a separate memory for objects, which is the heap memory, and for static variables or methods, there is a separate memory which is called as the class area or method area. Okay, and the moment you declare any method or a variable as static, it will be stored inside the separate memory, small memory, which is a class area or a method area. By doing that, you will be saving lot of Java memory. However, this common or constant variable or method which is declared as static will be shared by all these objects. Because this variable or method is static, that means it belongs directly to what? Class. Anything that belongs to class can be accessed directly, and we have seen how to access them. Either you can just openly write them roll number, the moment you write static here, you can just write directly roll number here. Okay, and it will print the value 10, or you can just access using the class name. You can also use the reference variable to call them, but then it will give you the warning. Okay, so let me just try accessing this roll number, or I have just declared this method as static. So what I'll do, I can call this method. Let me just call this method using the reference variable. Okay, so using the reference variable, also you can call any method or a static method or a static variable. However, it will give you the warning. So let me just show you that. Say if I write system.out.println, and let me just use this reference variable dot, and let me just, this is my static method. Okay, so I'll just call this method. So see here, this is giving you warning. Okay, and what it is saying? It is saying the static method disresult from the type exam data should be accessed in a static way. So it is telling you, it is warning you that this method, since it is static, can you see here I have used the static keyword, since this method is static of exam data type. Okay, please use this in a static way. Okay, so Java just wants to save its memory, and hence it is giving the warning. So you can still access that. So let me just run this. I'll just remove this because this was giving error, and let me just access this. I'll just remove this also because this will confuse you. Just a moment, guys. Okay. Okay, it's giving one more error. Okay, this error is, okay, let me just check. Okay, I've already used println statement for this method, which will be displaying pass results. So I will not have to write this println statement again. I can directly call this method. Okay, but it will still give you the warning because it is asking you to use the static way. Okay, so I just want to show you that you can still access this method which is static using the reference variable. So it is still displaying the result, right? Pass. But since we want to save the Java memory, we would need to call this method, which is static method, either directly, okay, or using the class name like this. Why it's not giving? Okay, yes, here it. Okay. So see, all three are giving the results as pass, pass, pass. Okay. Okay, so by using the reference variable directly, the method name, or by using the class name, you can display the results or you can access the static method. However, it's preferred to use the static way. Okay, this is not recommended. By using the reference variable, calling the static method is not recommended. Okay, because we want to save the Java memory. So I showed you the static method, how to call the static method. Let me just call the static variable. So similarly, we can call this static variable. Now this variable is static. Let me just remove the static keyword here and put the static keyword here, because English subject is the common subject for all these students. So I'll put a static keyword, and let me, if you want to access this variable which is of string type, you can either directly print this, you access this, or using the class name. You would not need to create the object, and using the reference variable you would not need to call this variable. So I'll show you that. Now this method you can't just write like this, okay? Yeah. Only the this variable you can't like this, write like this. Only the method you can directly write like this, okay? However, if you want to print that inside the console, you'll have to write system.out.println, and then you can just write directly student variable here. See guys, and I'll show you again. Let me just use the class name as well. So my class name is exam data dot subject. You can also use the reference variable, but that is not recommended because this is a static variable, and this has been given a separate memory, and which is shared by each of the object, and we want to save the memory. So let me just run this program and show you the results, okay? Just a moment, guys. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So what is my result? It's pass, English, pass for this static methods, and English for this static variables. Okay. Now this was about accessing the static variable and static method inside the class, within its own class, which is exam data. How about if we want to access the these variables, static variable or static method of exam data class in some other class? Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. But we will have to use this class name dot, that syntax, the class name dot and the variable, static variable name or the static method name. I'll show you that. So let's say I have this employee class, okay? And inside the employee class, I want to access the static variable, which is subject, and static method, which is this result, okay? Or even this is a static method, marks, but let's go with this result only. So we can access these static methods and static variables of exam data class in employee class as well. And how to do that? I will just write the inside the main method, okay? Remember that if you are calling any method, if you are printing the system.out.println statement, then you would just do that inside the main method, okay? And so I'll just use the class name exam data, okay, inside the main method, and let's see what it does. Exam data. The moment you type dot, it will display you the list of all these static methods and static variables. So all the static methods and static variables will be listed, okay, but not the non-static. Why? Because they does not belong to the class. They belongs to the object, okay? So I'll just select subject. Either I can select subject, and but I have to print that inside system.out.println. When it comes to variable, you'll have to write system.out.println, or you can, there are other codes also where you can directly use them. So we will learn them, all the syntaxes and writing the Java program in different ways in later videos. But for now, just I'm using system.out.println to explain you the basic core Java concepts. Okay, so so here I go with the static variable of exam data class. So using the class name, I'm accessing the static variable. Now let me just access the static method of exam data, and method I can just call right without system.out.println. So for that, I'll say if exam dot disp result. Okay, so let me just run it. So what should it display? It should display as English and pass. Okay, so let me see English and pass. So what we have done here is we have used another class employee, and inside its main method I'm trying to access the static variables and static methods. Static variables or static methods of this class, which is exam data. So I'm able to do that by using the class name. Okay, so through class name I can access the static variables and static method of another class. But I can't, when it comes to another class, I can't, without using the class name, I can't access them. Okay, so if I remove class name here, it will show you the error. This way of accessing the static variables and methods is applicable when we are accessing it inside its own class. So this is the difference. Okay, so with this, I hope you understood this video. If you have any questions, please drop in your questions in the comments box, and please practice, guys. I'm going very slow just because I want you all to understand it easily. I'm writing easy codes, easy syntaxes, so that you understand easily and you're very clear with basic Java concepts. Okay, we will learn more complex Java programs, but first you need to climb one step. If you want to climb the mountain, you need to first climb the first step or second step. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just going slow and trying to use as simple syntaxes in Java program as I can, so that you understand very easily and you are comfortable with it. Okay, so if you are able to understand to write the simple Java program, you can write complex as well, slowly and gradually. Okay, and another thing that you guys need to practice a lot. Okay, whatever I'm explaining in the video step by step, you need to do your own practice. Okay, and if you have any query, please drop in the comments your query inside the comments text box. I'll definitely reply to all your comments. Okay, and please subscribe to my channel because that motivates me to upload more and more videos and share my knowledge with you guys. Alright, so for now I'll just end with this session, And in the next video, we will learn about local and global variables or instance variable, which is very important topic. Actually, all topics in Java are important, so it's one of the important topic that we will be learning in the next video. Okay, so see you in the next video. You have a great day and stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye.